on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
B-Site Qatar is a premier institute registered in Qatar, providing project management training and consultancy services. Our trainer has conducted more than 200 plus trainings on project management, with more than 2,000 working professionals getting PMP certifications.
Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
B-Site Qatar is a premier institute registered in Qatar, providing project management training and consultancy services. Our trainer has conducted more than 200 plus trainings on project management, with more than 2,000 working professionals getting PMP certifications.
Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
B-Site Qatar is a premier institute registered in Qatar, providing project management training and consultancy services. Our trainer has conducted more than 200 plus trainings on project management, with more than 2,000 working professionals getting PMP certifications.
Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
B-Site Qatar is a premier institute registered in Qatar, providing project management training and consultancy services. Our trainer has conducted more than 200 plus trainings on project management, with more than 2,000 working professionals getting PMP certifications.
Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs, we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
B-Site Qatar is a premier institute registered in Qatar, providing project management training and consultancy services. Our trainer has conducted more than 200 plus trainings on project management, with more than 2,000 working professionals getting PMP certifications.
Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs, we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
B-Site Qatar is a premier institute registered in Qatar, providing project management training and consultancy services. Our trainer has conducted more than 200 plus trainings on project management, with more than 2,000 working professionals getting PMP certifications.
Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with B-Site Qatar. We will start our sessions shortly.
DH Academy is a finishing school for molding civil engineers. We believe in transforming knowledge to wisdom. We provide advanced skill development programs for young civil engineers and working professionals to enhance their skills and knowledge of construction industry. Through our programs, we focus in bridging the gap between academics and industry practices. Welcome you all. Webinar on Introduction to Project Management. Brought to you by DH Academy in association with...
Hello, good evening. Welcome all the participants to the project management session. I am Sanuj Rajan, Director of DH Academy. So before we get into session, a quick glance of the meeting rules. So I request all of you to keep your electronic gadgets in mute state. During the meeting, you can use Zoom chat window to ask your questions. And during the sessions, during the discussion time, kindly enable and ask questions to the speaker. So let me introduce ourselves. DH Academy was started in January this year. We aim at a tradition of excellence devoted to create a community of skilled civil engineers and leaders of tomorrow with social commitment. We operate in 6 verticals, starting with we have an advanced skill development program for fresh graduates, giving them hands-on experience and placements. We have online learning courses for working professionals through which we cover more than 20 industry major topics by means of workshop and seminars. So far, we have been doing more than 15 learning sessions by this channel. In consultation with the B-Site Consulting, there is a PMP bootcamp training coming up in the next week. From time to time, we conduct technical seminars for large organizations. The organizations like Indian Institute of Concrete, Builders Association of India are few beneficiaries from us. We also give focus in corporate trainings. We do fully customized training sessions for their needs. Currently, we have been training BPCL engineers also. And last but not least, we do provide training and internship for our young undergraduates during the semester breaks. Management is a practice where art, science, and craft meet. In today's session, our speaker, Engineer Angel Bright, will enlighten us on these practices. Engineer Angel Bright is a certified PMI instructor who started his passion 13 years back. He has been training more than 3,500 managers, and he also participated in large magnitude projects in oil and gas industry. He also ensures to provide one-to-one attention for each one of you till you pass the exam. So with this, I welcome Engineer Angel Bright to this webinar. Over to you, Angel.
Hi, thank you, Sanoj. Good evening, all. Once again, I welcome you all for this training program webinar. So I'll just, start sharing my screen. Give me a second. Right, you can see my screen.
Angel, it's clear, yeah.
Okay, right. So as Sanoj mentioned, today's webinar is about an introduction to project management. Already you heard about me. I'm working in project management for the past 20 years. And I'm also conducting training programs, project management trainings, risk management trainings, and strategy management trainings for past 15 plus years now. We will start with a brief introduction of the participants. I'll launch a poll. There are 5 questions in this poll. You have to answer all those questions, then only you'll be able to submit that. You can take 3 minutes to go through those questions, answer it, and submit it back to me, and then we will start with the session. If you are not able to see the poll, you will see a poll button in the bottom in the meeting controls. You can click on that and you can find the poll. Most of you answered. So 30 more seconds. We will close the poll. Right. Thank you for answering the questions. I'll end the poll now. If you haven't submitted, please submit in the next 10 seconds. Right. We'll end the poll and I'll share the results. So 50% of the participants are from construction industry. 14% are from government, 5% entrepreneurs, and 7% students, 5% information technology. Those who are mentioned as others, can you please type in the chat box which industry you represent? So if you have selected your answer as others, please type in the chat box. You have two options. Either you can chat to the host, co-host. You have to select my name, or you can chat to everyone. Please type in the chat box which industry you represent if your answer is others. In your current project, your organization is a consultant, 31%. Okay, oil and gas, education, great, construction, fine. Okay, good to know about the other industry participants as well. So in your current project, your organization is a consultant, 31%, others 29%, contractor 24%, client or customer 17%. Okay, consultant. So in case again in the answer in your current organization, current project, your organization is if your answer is others, please type in the chat box. So what is the other role of your organization? Maybe a subcontractor or sub consultant or any other role, please type that in the chat box as well. Project management experience, good, 38% of you are having more than 3 years of experience, 26% with less than 3 years, and 15% with no experience. Good. So site engineer, project technical support, project manager, great. So these are the other roles for your organization in the current project. Great. Have you attended a PMP training before? Okay, 10% yes, 90% no. Are you aware about the upcoming changes to the PMP exam? 95% no and 5% yes. Good to know about the participants, right? I'll stop. Cement industry technical engineer, project technical assistant. Great. Okay, good to know about all the participants. Once again, I welcome you all for this session. As mentioned in the brochure, today's session is about an introduction to project management. So in the next, say 1 hour 45 minutes, last 20 to 30 minutes, we'll have it for questions and other discussions. And the remaining time, we'll be discussing about the concepts, project management concepts, basics. In addition to that, I'll also tell you about PMI, as 95% of you are not aware about the upcoming changes, or you haven't attended a PMP training program. That will help you to understand the subject, what we are learning, PMPOC guide, as part of the training, as well as in this webinar. And also at the end, I'll explain about the PMP certification and also what changes are coming up and why it is good for you to take the PMP certification examination before the changes are made by the beginning of January. As some of you mentioned, you don't have experience in project management, I believe, like students, as well as less than 3 years of experience in project management, you have another certification, CAPM, Certified Associate in Project Management, but the subject what you will learn will be the same. The training will be the same. So I'll briefly mention about CAPM certification also at the end. So during the session, if you have any questions, you can type that in the chat box. When it is relevant, I'll answer it. Or you want to unmute and you can ask your question, please raise your hand. There is an option. If you open the participants panel, in the bottom, you will see raise hand option. Raise your hand. So I'll ask you to unmute and ask question. So anytime in between you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can type in the chat box. Right. That's about the brief agenda. All the concepts we are learning in this particular webinar, as well as in the PMP exam preparation bootcamp, upcoming bootcamp, are aligned to a guide to the project management body of knowledge. And the latest edition we are having is 6th edition. So the examination, PMP examination, is currently based on 6th edition of PMPOK guide, and our training, our webinar is also based on 6th edition of PMPOK guide. So this material, PMPOK guide, project management body of knowledge guide, as well as the PMP and CAPM. PMP stands for project management professional. CAPM stands for certified associate in project management. So these certifications are administered by the same organization, PMI, Project Management Institute. So I'll give a brief overview about PMI and then we will start with the details. PMI, Project Management Institute, what was established in 1969 by 5 working volunteers like you and me in project management field as a not-for-profit professional association. Headquartered in Pennsylvania, US. The tagline for them at that time as well as now is building professionalism in project management. You can also visit their website www.pmi.org to know more about this organization. As of now, PMI is having more than 602,000 members in more than 214 countries or 200 countries. You can also associate with PMI as a member, irrespective of your experience in project management or knowledge in project management. You can be a member of PMI. There are no basic requirements to associate with PMI as a member. On the other hand, to get the certification, yes, there are some basic requirements. We will talk about that later. So to associate with PMI, your yearly membership fees will be around 10,000 rupees, including the first year application fee. Second year onwards, you will pay little less than 10,000. If you are a full-time student of a college, of an university, then your membership fee will be 2,471 rupees. Just a few weeks back, PMI introduced the Indian storefront. Earlier, all these fees you have to pay in US dollars. From like the beginning of September or towards the end of August, they introduced the Indian storefront. Now you can pay the fees in Indian rupees. There are a lot of benefits of associating with PMI as a member. One of the benefits, in case you are planning for PMP or CAPM certification, you will get discount in the examination fees. Plus, the soft copy of the material, what you will be learning to prepare for the examination, PMPOK guide, you can download that from PMI's website. You can network with professionals like you in the same industry, in the same region. There are, local chapters. There are many chapters around, in all the parts of India. You can go to pmi.org and you can search for, local chapters. You can find that. You can associate with local chapters as a member, and you can network with professionals, as well as you can download a lot of templates, a lot of tools which are readily applicable for your projects and so on. Please visit PMI's website and learn more about membership benefits. That's briefly about PMI and how you can associate with PMI as a member, online application, and the relevant fees. You will be a member of PMI. When it comes to the certification, PMI is currently administering 8 certifications. And this training program, the training program, what we will be conducting from 28th September, and this webinar is going to talk about these 2 certifications, Certified Associate in Project Management and PMP Project Management Professional. As of now, there are more than 1 million certified professionals as PMPs and around 50,000 CAPMs, Certified Associate in Project Management. In case you are interested in other certifications like Agile Certified Professional or Risk Management Professional or Program Management Professional or Professional Business Analysis, you can visit PMI's website. There's a certification page. You can go through that to understand about the requirements of other certifications. In this webinar, we'll talk about PMP and CAPM certification. So these are the various standards published by PMI. As I mentioned at the beginning, in 1969, when they established this association, they came up as a project management association. So later they expanded to program management, portfolio management, etc. in many areas. So they have different standards. They have a standard for project management. That's what we are going to, discuss in this webinar as well as in our training program, a guide to the project management body of knowledge. They do have a standard for program management, portfolio management, assessing the organizational maturity. They have a OPM3 project management maturity model for the organization, and also they have other practice standards and frameworks. For example, if you are a scheduler, you are an estimator, there is a practice standard for project estimating, practice standard for project scheduling. These concepts will help you to get more understanding about scheduling and estimating. Similarly, they have project PMI or PEMPOC guide extensions. They have a PEMPOC guide extension for government projects, software projects, and construction projects. By the way, when you associate with PMI as a member, you will be able to download a soft copy of all these materials as a membership benefit. In this workshop, we will focus on the 6th edition of PEMPOC guide, Project Management Body of Knowledge. So what is covered in PEMPOC guide? They are talking about the major 5 process groups or 5 pillars of a project. How to initiate a project, how to develop a plan, how to execute the plan, how to monitor and control the project, and finally, how to close the project. These are the 5 major areas of focus in PEMPOC guide. So basically, if you learn about PEMPOC guide, you will be understanding everything what you have to do, meaning project management concepts, project management work you have to do from initiating a project or a phase to closing a project or phase. In our training program, we'll be discussing in detail about every process group with processes, what you should do while initiating. By the way, in PEMPOC guide, we are learning about a PDCA approach. PDCA stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act approach. PDCA stands for Plan, Do, Check, and Act. This is about a proactive project management. Everything what you are doing, you should develop a plan for that. You should implement that plan. That is about doing and check. Are we doing the work as per the plan? If not, we need to act. Acting is updating the project plan. Acting is updating the project plan. So even the initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling and closing are based on this cycle, which is known as Deming's cycle, based on W. Edwards Deming's concept, who is the father of total quality management. This is known as either PDCA cycle or W. Edwards Deming cycle. So in planning process group, we will focus on how to put the plan together. Execution process group, we'll discuss about doing the work as per the plan. Monitoring is about checking the work, and controlling is about acting and updating the project plan. For example, say you have a schedule, and according to that schedule, activity A, you should have done in 10 days. Activity B, you should have done in like 15 days. So that's your plan. Now you are implementing activity A, you are doing it. And in checking, we are checking, will we be able to finish this activity in 10 days? If it is ongoing, we'll have a forecast. Or if it is already done, have you finished it in 10 days or not? Assume the answer is yes, we did it according to the plan, nothing to act. That means your plan is working, you just carry on. On the other hand, when you're implementing activity B, say instead of 15 days, you took 20 days to finish that activity, there is a change, you are not able to follow your plan. That's when you have to act. Acting means updating your plan. What adjustment I have to do in my schedule to make sure that delay in my activity will not reflect in the overall project duration. That means I should finish my project on time. Then what adjustment I should make in my remaining part of the schedule. That's about the PDCA cycle. PMPOK guide process groups are exactly matching with those 5 areas. Initiation is start of the cycle and closing is end of the cycle. In these 5 areas, we'll talk about 10 knowledges. An example what I gave you now is about schedule management, which is one of the knowledge areas we're going to discuss. Similarly, if it is about estimating the cost and managing the project to the budget, how you are going to deal with that, we'll discuss in cost management. Putting the scope together, we'll discuss that in scope management. Similarly, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, stakeholder, and finally, overall integration. How you are going to integrate all these to make sure that you will finish the project successfully. So objective of managing a project with the concepts, with the approved or proven standards is to make sure we will successfully complete that project. And you might have heard about the statistics that many projects are not finishing on time. Many projects are failing to achieve the objectives. So how we can overcome that, that's what we will be discussing in PMPOK guide standards. So the training program or to pass the PMP certification or CAPM certification examination, you have to know about those 10 aspects of project management, from integration management to stakeholder management. And that's a concept we are going to learn from initiation to closing. Right. Before we go and start with the project management concepts, how do you know that you have to improve your knowledge? Maybe I'll think, okay, my project is going good, or I have rich knowledge, somebody else issue, that's why the project is not going properly, etc. Let's see if you are facing any of the following problems, at least 2 or 3 of the following problems, there is a room for improvement. 1, cost or schedule overruns. In many projects, that's a common thing. Either you are not able to finish it on budget, or you are not able to finish it within the approved schedule, or both. You are exceeding the duration and you are spending more money. Unrealistic schedules. From the beginning itself, you know, we are not going to do it according to the schedule. We can't achieve it. Unrealistic. Then obviously, whatever concepts management you have, you'll be failing. Changing scope of work or schedules. When we talk about that initiation, planning, execution, during the planning stage itself, you should finalize the scope of the project. But in many projects, after you start to do the execution, there will be change in the scope. And it is obviously going to affect the other aspects as well. We'll discuss that in the constraints briefly in this webinar. Poor communication and increased conflict. According to some statistics, 90% of a project manager's time is spent in communication. 90% of a project manager's time is spent in communication. Communication with stakeholders, with team members, government authorities, etc. It's not only about talking, it's about reporting, it's about negotiating, etc. So in project management, communication means giving the right information to the right stakeholder at the right time. Giving the right information to the right stakeholder at the right time. If you fail in that, you may fail in project management as well. Doing the work efficiently and communicating it effectively are two sides of the same coin in project management. We'll talk about that in detail in communications management knowledge area. Running out of time near the end of the project. This is a common scenario in many projects. First 90% of the project, you will finish it in 90% of the time. The last 10% will take another 90% of time. I believe all of you have experience in that area. When you're about to finish, that's where you will see the issues due to something what you did earlier in the project. So we'll discuss that in schedule management, how to manage timely completion of the project. Unsatisfactory quality. You did everything perfectly, but when you deliver, your customer is not happy with the quality of the deliverable of the product or service you give to the customer. We will discuss that, how to manage these issues in quality management knowledge area. Low morale among the team members. Team members are not like working as a real team. They are a number of silos and there is no good teamwork. We'll discuss that in resource management knowledge area. People on the team are unsure what needs to be done. We have seen project managers spending 12, 13, 14 hours in a project and still claiming we are not able to finish our responsibilities. There are issues. The most common reason is you are not properly delegating. You are doing somebody else's work as well. You are paid for a project manager doing the work of a secretary. We have seen that many times. We have a RACI matrix. We'll discuss certain resource management. Will clearly help you to identify what are your tasks and focus on that. If it is not your task, delegate to your team so you can make sure efficiently and effectively you are spending your time. Excessive rework and overtime. That's because of poor quality. Customer is not accepting it to do it again. And finally, too many project meetings. How many meetings you're attending in a day? I have seen project managers, sometimes including me, back-to-back meetings. And the question is then when we will do the work. So how to do effective meetings? When you say a meeting duration is an hour, are you finishing it in an hour? Do you have a proper agenda? Right participants, etc. That is also part of communications management. Anyway, I'm just giving a brief overview of some of the concepts we will be learning as part of our workshop, PEMPOK guide based workshop starting from 28th of September. Type in the chat box, out of these 10, how many issues you are having in your projects? 1, 2, 5, all. So quickly type in the chat box, out of 10, how many issues you are facing in your projects, current project? Okay, we got an answer, 4. What about others? 5, 5, so 50%. Anybody else? Okay, so the highest number so far is 7. But usually the answer what I will get is all, almost all. Anyway, this time, guys, good, great. So 4 to 7 is the range we are seeing here. Great. So that means there is a room for improvement. Yes, the concepts what you're learning from PEMPOK guide will surely help you to manage some of those issues. Again, you need to know, as Sanush mentioned at the beginning, project management is more of an art. Obviously, it's a bit of science. That's what we are learning. It all depends on your scenario, on your organization, on your environment, how effectively you can implement those concepts. So 2, 4, 6, 9. Srinit, I'm not understanding that number. You are saying, okay, which problems you are having? 2, 4, 6, 69? Not sure about that. Anyway, so finally we got an answer. Vamsi, thank you. 10, all 10 problems you are facing. Great. Okay, so at least you will be understanding, okay, how to manage those issues so that you can propose that to your management. So why PMP certified are in high demand? One of the reason is that you will know about the right thing to do. When there is an issue, your project manager can depend on you to give him the right advice. Then implementation, obviously, that may change, depends on the situation you are in. Fine. So next few slides, I'm just going to give a flavor of some of the concepts what we'll be learning in our training program. One of the advantages of following PEMPOK guide or knowing PEMPOK guide and implementing PEMPOK guide standards in your projects, in your organization is you will get a standard set of terminologies, definitions to use in your project. Today, maybe, as you know, in a project, different organizations will be participating, or even in the same organization, different departments will be participating. Your customer may tell you, we need to put a project charter together, but you could be a consulting organization or a contracting organization. You may not know what your project charter is. Probably you'll know about the same document, but you are using a different name for that. There is an inconsistency in project management field. Similarly, when it comes to definitions, first few chapters in PEMPOK guide tells you about the basic concepts. What is project management? What is a project? Who are the stakeholders? What are the constraints, etc. I'm going to touch base few definitions just to give an idea. If someone is coming and asking you, what is a project? What will be your answer? Anybody want to volunteer? You can unmute and you can say, like, from your, don't look into PEMPOK guide or anything, just from your experience, what do you think a project is? Anybody want to volunteer? Or you want to type in the chat box? Right. So let's directly go to the definition from PEMPOK guide. Usually when there are like 20 participants in a class, you will see like at least 18, 19 or 20 different definitions. That's a gap we have in project management field, and this is the definition we are having in PMPOK guide for a project. Maybe for many of you, it will be a new definition. And as I told you, more than 1 million certified professionals, major organizations, even in India, they are using the same definition. A project is a temporary endeavor. Srinath? Okay. So project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So the basic concept is all the work we are doing are not project work. Only the work is fit to that particular definition, then it's a project. So to know whether it is a project or not, you have to ask two questions. One, is it a temporary endeavor? What is the meaning of temporary? It doesn't mean short in duration. Temporary means you have a start date and you have an end date. That could be, for example, 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years or even more than 2 years. Whatever the type of project you are in, you will have a start date and end date. In that sense, your projects are temporary. So the work what you will do or what you are doing is will have a start date and end date. So it is temporary. And at the end of the project, you will bring a unique product. That is the second criteria to say whether it is a project work or not. You will have a unique product or service or results. Say two different models of the car from the same manufacturer, they are different. Two different buildings in a location, they are different. Different location, different contractor, different design, different facilities, different XYZ. So if the work what you are doing is is having a start date and end date, and at the end you will bring a unique product, then what you are doing or what you did in the past project. If not, we call it as ongoing operations, especially if you are not going to bring any unique product at the end, then we will take it as an ongoing operation or business as usual activities. So I repeat, all the work we are doing are not project work. Either it will be a project or an ongoing operation. To say it's a project, it should have a start date and end date. Start date and end date also means non-recurring work. You will finish and you're out. Thereafter, you don't have a project manager or a project team to manage the work. It will be handed over to the operations. In many projects, once the project is complete, you will hand over to the operations team who will carry on with the regular operations. And as I told you, at the end, you bring a unique or a new product. Understanding the concepts in PMPOK guide is very much important for the PMP certification examination. There will be very few direct questions. For PMP, it will be mostly situational. They will give you a scenario and they will check whether you know how to apply the concepts, what you learned from PMPOK guide to that scenario and find the right answer. Some questions are book-based questions. I'm just going to launch a, sample question here. This is very similar to a CAPM question. If you are going for a certified associate in project management, you will certification exam, you will get a similar question. It's mostly book-based. We discussed what is a project, and obviously some of the concepts we haven't discussed, but the question is which of the following is not true about a project? Take 1 minute to answer that. Ten seconds more. Okay, we'll end the poll now. If you haven't submitted, please submit now. We'll end in another 5 seconds. Okay, so I'll end the poll now. Guess what? See the result. Most of you answered it correctly. Projects are ongoing and repetitive. That is not the character of a project. As you can see here, As per the definition, projects will create a unique product or service. Option C. So nobody selected that because we already learned about it. So a few more concepts. Again, we haven't learned here about that. Projects are planned, executed, and controlled. We discussed briefly about that at the beginning. Your project will be initiated, planned, executed, monitored, controlled, and finally closed. First one, projects are constrained by limited resources. When you talk about resources, it can be people, it can be materials, it can be equipments. So every project will have some constraints in that area. We'll see that in the next slide as well, right? So good. So you are able to apply some of the concepts. I mean, the brief concepts what we learned here in the question as well. Good. So that's what you have to know for the PMP certification exam. So let me launch a simple poll before I go further. Take 10 seconds to answer this question. Let me see how many of you know about PEMPOK Guide. I just give a flavor. So this is what PEMPOK Guide is talking about, you know. Okay, good. Great. Fine. So I'll end the poll, and 73% of you are not aware about PEMPOK Guide concepts. So whatever you are hearing here are new for you, whereas 30% of you, you are aware about the PEMPOK Guide. So next half an hour, 40 minutes, you'll be, I mean, maybe it's refreshing your knowledge. You learned about this long time back, refreshing your knowledge. Then we will talk about the PMP certification and changes coming up, in the PMP examination. Great. Good. So that is a quick summary of what we have discussed. A project is not an ongoing effort. You will bring a unique product, and it will have a beginning and end. So what is project management? If you go to Google and search for what is project management, you will get at least 10 different definitions. As I mentioned, the definitions we are having here are as per PEMPOK Guide. According to PEMPOK Guide, a project management is the application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So to manage the project successfully, you need to have project management knowledge. You need to have project management skills. You need to know about project management tools and techniques. So what we will be learning in our training program is about that project management knowledge and about the tools and techniques. Skills, briefly, not in detail. Skills development, as you know, it's mainly about application, how you will apply the skill, what you are learning. Say, we are going to discuss about driving skills for the next 20 hours. Unless you start driving, you won't be able to improve your driving skills. Similarly, we can talk about communication skills, negotiation skills, problem solving skills. There is a bit of science. Obviously, there are different training programs for that purpose. DH will be organizing specific training programs on skills development. But in our training program, we will learn what is required for PMP certification. So a bit of skills, but more of knowledge and tools and techniques. So again, when you talk about project management, it's not about having knowledge. It's not about having the skills, not about knowing the tools and techniques. If you go and look into the definition, the key word there is about application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques to your project activities. All of you in this webinar or in our training program, you will learn about the same subject and gain the same knowledge. But how will you apply? That will make a difference. So project management is not just having knowledge or skills or techniques, applying that effectively in your project and making sure your project is successful. That's about project management definition, application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to the project activities to meet project requirements. In our training, we'll discuss what do you mean by tools and techniques? What are those tools and techniques to manage a project from initiation to closing? So project management concepts are applied from initiation to closing. That's briefly about the definition of project management. Why project management? In case like everything is available for you. You have like plenty of time. You have enough resources. You have enough, money. Then project management will not be that valuable. But all the projects, what we are managing, will have constraints. So you have to manage the project successfully within the constraints. That's where you have to apply the project management knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques. All projects will have three constraints. All projects will have three constraints. cost, time, and scope. Why it is shown as a triangle? Because the relationship between those three constraints. Scope is the work, what work you have to do as part of that particular project, the given work. Time is the schedule. That particular work you are doing, for example, 6 months. And cost is the budget. Your budget is, for example, 100,000 rupees, etc. So that's your project. That's your project, constrained by scope, time, and cost. Why it is shown in a triangle? In case there is a change in one of the constraints, there will be an impact in other constraints as well, and you need to evaluate that. If in case you increase the scope of your project, accordingly, you have to go and see what will be the impact in the project duration. Time is equal to money. If you are going to increase the time, that may impact the cost as well. Where we have issues is sometimes your manager or your client may tell you, we are going to add additional work to this particular project, but you may not discuss about the additional time or additional cost required. That's where the project will start to fail. So one of the responsibilities of a project manager is to understand the relationship between these three constraints and manage the influence of these constraints in your project. So what do you mean by scope? How to manage scope? We have a knowledge area for that. Scope management, we'll discuss that in detail. Similarly, schedule is another knowledge area. Cost is another knowledge area. If we say there are 4 legs for a project, fourth leg or the fourth constraint is quality. Quality is shown within the triangle because quality is constrained by scope, time, and cost. If your customer is asking you, I want the product as early as possible, in the cheapest cost, and in the best quality, can you provide that? Obviously, the answer is no. You can give any one of that. Either you can give it as soon as possible, or in the cheapest cost, or in the best quality. So, based on the scope, time, and cost available, you have to fix the level of quality you can deliver to the customer. We have a quality management knowledge area. There we'll discuss in detail what do you mean by quality, how to make sure the quality level you fix in the project is appropriate to the other constraints in the project. We will learn about that in our training program. So in case the customer is telling you, no, that level of quality, what we defined is not acceptable, we need a high level of quality. Accordingly, you should go and see what will be the impact in cost, time, as well as do you want to make any changes to the scope of the project. That's why quality is shown within the triangle. In this edition of PMPOK guide, they've added 2 more constraints, that is about the risk and the resources, or the 2 additional constraints. Risk is the effect of uncertainties on your project objectives. What level of risk we are taking in this particular project? Every organization will have a risk appetite, the level of risk what they can take. If it is below that level, for example, some organization, say constructing a 3-story building, they got a new project to construct a 20-story building. Now, whether that organization can take this project, yes and no, it depends on their risk manage or risk taking methodology. But they should know the current risk appetite what we have is this is beyond that, and accordingly we need to put additional resources, additional time, etc. So that is about the level of risk you are going to take in a project. Finally, about the resources. When you talk about resources in PMPOK guide, they talk about 2 types of resources. One is team resources, that's about the people. Another one is about the physical resources such as equipments, materials, supplies, infrastructure, etc. Availability of resources could be an issue, could be a risk, could be a constraint. Or know-how. If you have a team and that team is not that knowledgeable about the project in hand, you will suffer as a project manager. That could be a constraint as well. So these are the 6 constraints, and we have 6 knowledge areas for that. We have scope management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, risk management, resources management knowledge area, where we'll be discussing in detail about those 6 areas. Okay, so when you can say your project is successful, what is the definition of project success? Can you type in the chat box? Anyone? What do you think is the definition for project success? Okay, so fine. So the point is, sometimes when we ask this question in a class, okay, completion on time, right? So if objectives are met, great. Okay. So sometimes when we ask this question in the class, timely completion with the standards, great. You're adding one more, criteria, completed in time within budget and required quality. Okay. So there are two questions here. One, good. I mean, most of the answers are like close to the right answer. Successful completion of project in time, budget, scope, and quality. Great. Okay. There are two questions here. When you can say your project meeting the scope, completion within time and budget. Okay. So the two questions are when you can say your project is complete, your project is successful. It is not mandatory. All the completed project you completed successfully. So most of your answers are for the first question when you can say your project is completed. So completion is as per the constraints. So you finished as per the scope, time, cost. You can say your project is complete successfully or unsuccessfully. What is that is project completion? That's the definition for project completion. What is project success definition? According to PEMPOK guide, project success definition is satisfying your stakeholders. In other words, meeting or exceeding the expectations of your stakeholders. Successful completion of project in time, budget with profit. Okay, you're adding one more criteria. Yes, if your company is making profit, then you can say your project is successful. That is a debatable point. Yes, you have to make profit in addition to few other characteristics. So meeting or exceeding the expectations of your stakeholders. Next, we will see about stakeholders, expectations of stakeholders. Then you can say your project is successful. Without completing a project, you can't be successful. You have to complete without finishing the scope within the time or budget. You can't say I met my stakeholders expectations. Obviously you cannot and you will not. But just finishing the project as per the constraints is also not project success. So project completion plus something dash is equal to project success. What is that dash? What do you think is that gap? What will fill that gap? Type in the chat box, please. Project completion plus something. If you do this, you will be successful. By the way, if you do that, that's a point you will be able to meet the quality requirements. Then only you will be successful. But what you should do to meet the quality requirements, right? Proper communication with client. Very good. So communication, as we discussed, 90% of the project managers' time is spent in, communication. Okay, proper management. I mean, all of you are giving the right answer. The answer is you have to apply project management concepts. Proper management, proper communication, all part of management. What is project management? Application of knowledge, skills, and tools and techniques to project activities. Then you will be able to meet the quality requirements by which you will meet the project requirements or exceed the expectations of your stakeholders. That's what we are discussing actually, how to be successful in a project. As I told you, the concepts what we are learning is about project management concepts. Great. So that leads to a new terminology here, stakeholders. Who is a stakeholder? Anybody, those who are having, okay, before going to that, just one more point. I mean, not explaining all the points here, that will be part of our training. When you are starting a project, at the beginning itself, you should sit with your customer and agree on what do you mean by success for this particular project, or else your customer may keep on changing the goalpost and difficult to meet it. So at the beginning, when you got a project, sit with your team. If it is an internal project, if it's an external project, sit with your customer and agree with him in this project, what success will look like. As we just discussed, is it like getting a profit is success or completing it just on time is success? Define that, document that, sign off. And also how it will be measured. According to Peter F. Drucker, father of modern management, if you can't measure, you can't improve it and you will start to mismanage it. Whether it is your personal growth or your professional growth or your project progress, everything should be measured. We will keep some KPIs to measure the project success based on the definition of success. Based on the definition of success. And one more thing you have to do with your team, define the risk that could impact your success. What factors may impact your success? So if you properly manage that risk, you can make sure your project is successful. Risk management is another knowledge area we will be learning, as part of our training program in detail. As I told you, next briefly we'll go through stakeholders. Who is a stakeholder? Anybody, those who are having a stake on your project are stakeholders. By the way, some stakeholders could be positive, some other stakeholders could be negative. You may have like an individual as a stakeholder, an organization like a government department as a stakeholder, or it could be a group like human rights group, for example, they could be a stakeholder. So when we discussed 90% of a project manager's time is spent in communication, communicating with the stakeholders of the project, communicating with the stakeholders of the project. So here you can see some of the stakeholders, excuse me, as a project manager will be managing. Some of them are internal stakeholders like your project management team, your project team, your project sponsor, and your own organization like other department managers or a higher level manager or the CEO of the company. All these are your stakeholders. Plus you will have your vendors, suppliers, customers, and other stakeholders like project management office, etc. So one of the knowledge areas in PEMPOK Guide is about stakeholder management. We'll discuss in detail how to identify the stakeholders, how to manage the stakeholders, etc. The interesting point here is all stakeholders may not be having the same requirements. Different stakeholder group will have different requirements. And as a project manager, you have to manage all these stakeholders and bring the project to a successful completion. Obviously, you can have conflict between the stakeholders. Here is a simple example. If you have a sponsor, what will be his requirement? As you see there, he will look for making sure he will getting what he asked for, best value for his investment and on time. That will be a sponsor. He is putting money for this project, so he wants the best value. He wants to see what he requested to you. But if you have a user who is going to use that product, then they want the best features. They don't worry about the money because someone else is putting, I want the best features, whether it is the scope or not, I want it. You talk to the sponsor and get the money for that. It should be easy for them to use and it should make their work easier. Whether it is on time, even it is going to take 1 week more, they're fine with that. But as long as their requirements are met, they will be happy. If you have a project team, they will have a different requirement. They are also your stakeholders, internal stakeholders. The work, what they are doing should be easy for them to manage and their work should be rewarded and easily accepted without much questions by the management. So you are here as a project manager responsible to manage all these stakeholders and make the project successful. And as I told you, a lot of scenarios you will have conflict between those stakeholders, and you have to, conflict is not necessary to be a problem. Conflict is difference in opinion. So exam may ask you, PMP exam may ask you a simple question. If there is a difference in opinion between the stakeholders, let's talk about stakeholder groups here. You can see here you have different stakeholder groups. Here also you have few groups. As a project manager, in favor of which stakeholder you will make a decision? If you are, in case of conflict between stakeholders, as a project manager, whom you should favor in your decisions? Can you type in the chat box? Whom you think? From your experience or from what you think, okay, when I have conflict between stakeholders as a project manager, I should favor user. Okay, user. Great. Sponsor, user, customer. Who is powerful? You are a very political project manager. Okay, so who is powerful? Customer. Okay, the answer, again, this is theoretically for the examination purpose. You have to always favor your customer. Who is a customer? It can be anyone you mentioned here. It could be, the owner, it could be the user, it could be anyone can be the customer for that particular project. Why is that? There is a very important reason here. All. No, you can't favor all actually. You cannot make a decision. Obviously, you need to side by someone. Why you have to make a decision in favor of your customer? When you have this as your project, during the project, you will have various stakeholders involving at various stages. Someone will be there even throughout. But when the project is finished, you will see only one stakeholder in front of you, that will be your customer. Because you are favoring other stakeholders during your project, your customer should not suffer at the end. That doesn't mean anything and everything what the customer will ask you will provide within the constraints, within the contract. And also that doesn't mean you have to ignore other stakeholders. You have to discuss with other stakeholders and explain to them, if you don't favor the customer, what will be the impact. So stakeholder management is not that easy. It is a bit tough area. You need to have good experience, good knowledge. Obviously, the required knowledge you will be, getting from this. Almost all the required knowledge you'll get from the training, and then as you implement it and start managing the conflict with your stakeholders, it's a kind of a skill. Again, you will be improving that. You can't manage all the stakeholders in the project. You need to classify them, whether really I have to manage the stakeholder. For example, if I have a customer, and if I have, for example, a construction project, people living around that particular construction site, they're also my stakeholders. But when I prioritize, I give more priority to the customer, for example. So all the stakeholders you won't be managing in the same way. This is one of the models we will learn in PMPOK guide, power interest grid, to classify your stakeholders, and accordingly you put strategies such as managing them closely, keeping them informed, etc. Again, this is a detailed discussion. I'm not going into that. During our training, we'll be discussing. There will be questions in the exam as well based on this. If you have a stakeholder with, for example, high power and high interest, then what will be the strategy you'll be using to manage that stakeholder? The answer, as you can see there, you will manage them closely if they have high power and high interest. We'll discuss about that, during our training program. Right. So that's about stakeholders briefly. Now, this is also a continuation of stakeholders. When stakeholders will have a high influence in the project, as you can see here, at the beginning of the project, x-axis is project time, y-axis is like the influence or the degree value from low to high. Stakeholders will have high influence at the beginning of the project. This is where you are going to sign an agreement or a contract or a MOU or a SLA, whatever you name it. And until you make an agreement, even you can change the whole project scope, home timeline. All these changes are going to reflect in a document. Talk about a design, for example. Talk about a program. But once you sign an agreement, then if you are going to make a change, the cost of changes, you have to see the influence of the impact of your influence. At the beginning, even though you are having a very high influence, all those changes will cost you peanuts, because changes are going to be only in the document. But towards the end, even you have a very little influence, but if you make any change, you see the cost of change, that is going to cost you a fortune. So you have to be careful in at which stage you are in your project you are, and accordingly you have to make decisions. That tells you we have two approaches to manage a project: proactive project management and reactive project management. What is proactive project management? Following PDCA cycle: plan, do, check, act. And what is reactive? Just do the work and wait for problems. After you have a problem, then go and see how you can resolve it. That is firefighting the issues. Right. So sometimes we are proactive, sometimes we are reactive, but 95% of the concepts we are going to learn in PMPOK guide is about proactive project management. That is also a tip for PMP exam. In case some of you, like you mentioned, like you already know about PMPOK guide, when you're answering questions in the examination, you have to always think as a proactive project manager, how I will deal with that particular situation. With examples, what do you mean by cost of changes? How your stakeholders' influence will impact the cost of changes. With examples we'll discuss in our training. So the next is about a project manager. As a project manager, when you talk about PMP, you are looking for either project manager or a coordinator or a leader or a management role. So PMI says, or in PMPOK guide they say, as a project manager, you need to have 3 competencies. 1, technical project management. 2, strategic and business management. 3, leadership. And in our training, we are going to discuss mostly on technical project management, briefly about strategic and business management and leadership. That's what you have to know for the examination. There are other training programs where you can improve your leadership skills and you can know about strategy and business management. So we will be learning in detail about technical project management. So what we are going to learn in detail in PEMPO Guide, you have it in this slide. As I told you, there are 10 knowledge areas from integration management to stakeholder management and 5 process groups, and we have 49 processes like develop project charter, etc. Almost 80% of our training we will be spending in discussing about those 49 processes. Around 80% of questions in the PMP or CAPM exam are based on those 49 processes. That's why I told you about a proactive project management. You have more number of processes in planning. Out of 49 processes, we have 24 planning processes, almost 50%. So that tells you about the proactive concept of PEMPO Guide. I'm not going to explain all the processes, or any of the processes here. We'll discuss in our training how to. So how to manage these processes. We will be discussing how we will be doing these processes in a project. We'll discuss that in our training. Right. So one of the other concepts we are going to, learn is about professional and social responsibility for a project manager. As a project manager, what you should do and what you should not. This is very important. Even you are going for PMP certification or not, these concepts, what you should do as a project manager and what you should not do to be a credible project manager. We'll be discussing about code of ethics. It's available in PMI's website. You don't want to be a member, just search for code of ethics PMI, you will get this PDF. It's about 6 pages. They mainly talk about 4 major areas. As a project manager, you should be responsible for your own decisions and actions, and you should respect other people and resources equally, and you should be taking decisions in a fair manner, and you should be honest and put truthful reporting. These concepts we'll be learning in detail, and there will be some questions in the exam about, are you aware about the responsibilities, professional responsibilities of a project manager? So any questions before we move on and talk about the certification part? Maybe I'll just give you a flavor of PMP exam question. We haven't discussed about this concept. This is about resource management. Try to answer this question, and it's nothing technical. It's all about management concepts. Even you are not aware about PEMPO Guide concepts, you should be able to answer this type of questions. Let's see how many of you are answering it correctly. So 2 minutes, try to answer that. Okay, we are starting to get responses. So I'll close the poll in 30 seconds. If you haven't submitted, please submit now. Okay, 10 seconds. Right, most of you answered. Right. Okay, I'll end the poll, and wow, almost ready to go for the PMP certification examination. And this is the kind of questions you'll be getting. As I told you, if you are able to connect the real-time concepts to the standard, you will be able to answer this question. So maybe some terminologies may not be clear for you. I just explained that a project is executed with a globally spread virtual team, like what we are doing now. I'm sitting in Qatar, and many of you are sitting in India. Some of you are in other countries. It's a virtual training we are doing. So similarly, you are having a project team. They are working from different locations. The project progress has been found to be too slow. Usually that's an issue with virtual team, because you will not have a team-like environment. People are working from different parts, maybe working from home and contributing. Which measure is most likely to immediately help team members act as a team and speed up the project? Okay, that's a point in the question. Which measure is most likely to immediately help team members? Maybe all these options will be useful in a virtual team. If you do all this, it will help you in a way. But the question is most likely immediately help team members. Technical training for all team members. I mean, there is no proper information in the question saying they have technical issues. That's why the project is slow. In case the question tells you there is a technical issue and because of that the project is, slow, then the first option is right. No, option A is wrong. Let's go to option D. A team meeting at a location convenient to all team members. Team meeting. Already it says like you are in a virtual team. Maybe you can have a, virtual team meeting, but again, it depends on the size of the team. To an extent, yes, but how it will immediately help the team members to, act upon and speed up the project? Daily phone conferences, to an extent, yes, but the right answer is B, team building activities with team members. We'll discuss that in resource management, how to conduct team building activities. Some kind of simple activities will give a team understanding and it can immediately boost up the morale of the team, and that will help them to contribute and speed up the project. Anyway, so these kind of simple questions and sometimes bit tough questions as well, you will get in the examination. So these are the 8. Before we move on, any questions you can ask now, because I just gave a flavor of the concepts what we will be learning in our training session, and I believe you got a good understanding. Okay, so it's not like something which is going to be very difficult for you. Most of the things you already know, you are practicing it, but you are learning it in a bit different way as per the standard to do it. We know about stakeholders, we are managing stakeholders, but what exactly stakeholder management means, how we can make sure we get their support, and why we are doing it, because project success depends on whether you meet or exceed the stakeholders. That kind of enhancement you will get from this training, and again that will help you to answer the questions in the examination as well. So these are the 8 credentials administered by PMI. If you have any questions about that subject what we discussed, you can type in the chat box. Now we're going to discuss about the certification program, what you should do to get your PMP certification and or CAPM certification, what changes are coming up, and also a brief description on the support what we can provide in getting these certifications before those changes. So just a minute. So these 2 certifications we are going to focus in this session or in our training program, even PMP and CAPM. Already I told you about that. So PMP certification, they started to award this certification in 1984, more than 30 years now. As of today, this is considered as a gold standard in project management field. There are other certifications in project management as well, but none of the other certifications have got the same recognition as PMP. Anywhere, any part of the world you go and you say you are a PMP, obviously you will be having a preference over non-PMPs. Why? Because of the subject knowledge what you will be having as a PMP, as an experience what you hold as a PMP. So basically, when you are getting your PMP certified, you are proving to the world that you know PMPOcket very well. So you know project management very well. So the certification tells your employees, peers, and world, you know what you are doing in project management. And there is a misunderstanding, oh, you have to be a project manager to go for PMP certification. No, anyone involved in the project. I mean, that's another point I want to tell you. Some of you mentioned you have less than 3 years of experience in project management. After your college, you have worked in projects for more than 3 years, then you are eligible for PMP certification. That's what it says. Even project manager is not part of your title. PMP applies to anyone who helps bring a project to completion. Basically, you have experience from initiation to closing in a single project or in multiple projects, you are eligible for PMP certification. If you have any queries, let us know. We can discuss like whether you're eligible in case you think, oh, I'm not coming under that category. If you have less than 3 years of experience, we can discuss that. What are the benefits of getting this particular certification? This is about the job board survey results for 2019, shown in alphabetical order. Most of the positions are now filled or recruited through job portals like Naukri, LinkedIn, etc. when they post a project management requirement, according to PMI, every year 2.2 million project management jobs are created worldwide, and most of these jobs are, going through the recruitment portals. If they post a position for project manager, project engineer, or project coordinator, any project management position, they will provide the requirements for that. You should have, for example, a bachelor's degree in a relevant field. You should have experience of this many years or the skills required for it. And in many advertisements nowadays, they are providing PMP certification is required or is preferred. So when they post a requirement, normally around 500 plus applications will go for that particular post. Do you think someone will manually review all these 500 applications and filter it? Yes, in the past they did it, but today it's not like that. Many organizations, as part of my core job as a project coordinator, earlier when we not no recruitments, earlier when we recruited people, actually we used to work with some recruitment agencies. They say like there is a program called ATP, application tracking program. They load all the received CVs to the ATP, and according to the keywords given in the ATP, the ATP will be responsible to go and pick the relevant applications. Say you and me, we are applying for the same post, almost with the same experience qualification. In one of the keyword in the ATP is, for example, PMP, and you have that PMP certification and I don't have it, there is a lot of chance that your application will be picked and mine won't be. So if I'm a decision maker, I'm giving a requirement to a job portal company, I'll tell them, give me the top 10 CVs. Out of 500, ATPs will choose which top 10 will be going to the decision maker. And I have seen many friends here saying, if my CV reaches the right person, then easily I'll get a job. But reaching the right person is very difficult. And for that, you need to have a lot of qualifications, academic level, as well as in professional. In professional level, we are talking about PMP. Again, it doesn't mean job is guaranteed. You have other processes. Then they'll conduct interview. You have to prove yourself, etc. But these certifications, qualifications will help you to come over the other parties, those who are not having PM. With your experience, with your knowledge, you can achieve that. So here we are showing about the keywords used by some of those ATPs and how many CVs were picked. CAPM, as I told you, different job portals, overall 2,879 CVs are picked by CAPM code word. Then we go to PMP, these two we are discussing here, then it's about around 70,000 CVs were picked in the last year by PMP. CSM is about Scrum Alliance, that is Agile Software Development Methodology certification. This is about Six Sigma Black Belt certification and Six Sigma Green Belt certification from American Society of Quality. That is something else you can look for, to improve your quality management knowledge and so on. So these are the topmost certifications and number of CVs picked, in the job portals, and you can see what difference PMP will make to your career. That's what we are saying, like a key benefit of, or one of the key benefits of getting this certification. And when you go to like a survey conducted by PMI about the salary benefits, they came with the conclusion in India, people like with PMP certification are paid 36% more comparing to non-PMPs in some industries. May not be in all industries, in some industries. In globally, 23% higher than those who are not having PMP. So one, to get a job, obviously, or to make a change to management career, certification will help you. Plus, it can also increase this package, the salary package. And this is about the hottest certification IT field for 2020 and PMP. When it comes to IT management, PMP is the 5th hottest or more valuable certification. Right, that is just to give an idea how PMP certification can help you. And if you replace by CAPM, almost the same. Who are eligible for PMP certification? First, you have to confirm, yes, you are eligible. If you have a bachelor's degree, then you are in this particular category, category A. Let's keep it as category A. Without a bachelor's degree, you will be in category B. You have a diploma or high school leaving certificate or any other qualification will be in category B. Two requirements you have to fulfill, both you are in category A or B. First requirement, that's why I asked you at the beginning of this session, do you have more than 3 years of experience? So minimum 3 years or 36 unique months of managing projects, leading projects. And second requirement is minimum 35 hours of project management training. And this is the training program we are going to conduct for the next 1 month. And already if you have 3 years of experience, by finishing this training, you will become eligible for PMP certification. If you are in category B, almost the same, only difference is instead of 3 years of experience, you should have 60 months or 5 years of experience. And the second requirement is common, 35 hours of project management training. I'll talk about CAPM after finishing PMP details. So whether you are in category A or category B, if you have 3 or 5, depends on your category experience, then by completing this training, you will become eligible for PMP certification. So that the course completion certificate, what you will be getting from DH, will fulfill the second requirement. 36 months. Okay, that's a good question. Is it like from same company or different companies? Doesn't matter. They talk about 36 months of project experience, like people like me working in like an oil and gas industry. Okay, so oil and gas industry, maybe construction and oil and gas industry, one project will go for more than 36 months. That's fine. That is acceptable. I'll come back to your question, Archana. And people like those who are in IT, maybe one project will go for 3 months. Maybe in the last like 5-6 years, they changed like 2 to 3 organizations. So as long as you did projects for 36 months, you are eligible for PMP, either in the same organization or in different organizations, either from a single project or in multiple projects, you are eligible for PMP. Now, those without 3 years of experience. So I believe countries doesn't matter, any country, you can get experience. Like maybe someone worked in India, they moved to Qatar or Middle East. Okay, so they got few years of experience in India, other years of experience Middle East or another country. That is also fine. So they told you it's about 3 years of project experience. Now, those without 3 years of experience, you are eligible for CAPM certification, Certified Associate in Project Management. I believe you finished your college recently, and you haven't got. If you finished your college before 3 years and you worked in projects, still you are eligible for PMP. But if you finished recently, you haven't got 3 years of experience, then you will go for CAPM. CAPM, the only requirement is you have to finish this training. If you finish this training, you will become eligible for CAPM. As you just asked the question, I will tell you PMP. If you are holding a PMP certification, you are looking for a management position. If you are holding a CAPM certification, you are looking for a team member position in a major project. At least like 2 to 3 participants in every training we will get for CAPM. And we hear like after certification, they got recruited in a major project, because if your project manager is a PMP, they prefer to have CAPMs in their team because they talk in the same language. They have the same knowledge. So I'll talk about CAPM also briefly a bit later. So only requirement is finishing the training. Do we need to provide any certificate to PMI showing the 36 months experience? The answer is yes and no. When it is, why yes and no? At the time of application, you don't want to provide any documentation. You just want to fill the online application and submit to PMI. But during the application process, they may randomly select your application for audit. If they selected your application for audit, then you may want to provide documentation proof. No certificate required from your company. PMI will give you an experience verification form, which you have to get it signed by your manager. But the good thing for you, that's a point. Audit is suspended because of COVID-19. During audit, you have to send hard copies to PMI, hard copies of the verification certificates, documents, not certificate. Because of the COVID-19 and the postal services are not in normal, situation, they have suspended the audit. That's what we heard, last from PMI at the beginning or mid of March, and maybe soon they may bring it back. So better to apply now. There is no audit. Later, once the situation is normal, they may bring, the audit back. What about working in O&M and management? Okay. That's where you have to apply the definition. When you say operations and maintenance, maybe during that operation and maintenance stage itself, okay, during the operation maintenance itself, you may do minor projects. For example, say this building is in operation for the last 10 years and they took a decision to add a new floor or additional 2 floors. During O&M, that adding floors, you can take it as a project. Or it could be, for example, you are saying like O&M and yes, O&M management, there you managed some projects like this for 3 years, you are eligible for PMP certification. After obtaining CAPM and getting 3 years of experience should be applied for PMPS. The only advantage or the main advantage is once you are a CAPM certified professional, you don't want to take another training. With your CAPM certification, you can go for PMP exam. You just want to take the exam after 3 years and pass the exam. So you will be looking for a management position. So CAPM, you have to fulfill the training requirement only, and PMP with CAPM certification, you can take PMP, no other. If you are a CAPM, you are directly eligible for PMP examination or PMP certification. Hope I answered all your questions. If you have any further questions, you can type in there. I'll answer that. Okay, so now when it comes to this experience, there is a caveat. You need to know that whether you are in category A or B, your experience should, that 3 years or 5 years experience, you should have gained from last 8 years. I have 15 years of experience in project management. I can't show my experience which I gained before 8 years for the application. So assuming you will put your application by the end of October, 2012 October to 2020 October, what projects you did, only those projects you can show to PMI. The projects you did before that are not eligible for the PMP application. So basically in that 8 years time, you worked in India or you worked in different countries within India, or sorry, different companies within India or different countries, all are eligible, all the projects you can show to. It's not necessary to be 6 continuous years. It's not necessary to be 8 continuous years. Maybe you did like 2 years from 2013 to 15, then another 1 year from 17 to 18. That's fine. So what is the fee? I'm going to explain that in the next slide. I have a slide for that. I'll explain that. Good. Thank you. Any further questions? Right. So I'm sure like all of you understood whether you are eligible or you are not eligible for the PMP. If you're not eligible, as I told you, you can go for CAPM. Both are having almost the same value. PMP for management, CAPM for team MPs. These are the 3 steps. I'll take you through those 3 steps. First step is to apply for the exam. Online application. In July, during mid of July, they made a change. They made a change in the application. Earlier, around 20 pages you have to fill. Now you have to fill only 3 pages in the application. Very simple. Current company experience certificates are available. I have breaks between. I mean, as I told you, there is no experience certificate required. There is no experience certificate required. We will. I will show you in the application what you are providing. That application, only if you are an audit, you have to verify that. As I told you, currently audit is suspended, so there is no verification. So point number 1, as Alan, you asked, no experience certificate required. Break experience are accepted as long as it is within the last 8 years. Break experience are accepted. As I told you, I did a project in 2013-14, then I did another project in 17-18. Fine, as long as it is within the last 8 years, that's fine. Or we have to renew the, yes, you have, not every year. Membership. Yeah, membership every year. I'll talk about. Yes, already membership. Yes. So after getting your PMP certification, next year to renew, you have to pay around 10,000 rupees to renew your membership. As I told you, associating with a professional body like PMI will give you a lot of opportunities. There are, local chapters. There is a chapter in Kerala. There is a chapter in Hyderabad, chapter in Chennai. So if you are close to these locations, you can go for their activities, and you can search for PMI chapters in India. You'll see a chapter close to you. So associating with PMI will bring you a lot of opportunities. You can also, understand that when you go through PMI's website. Okay, these are the 3 steps you have to follow to get your PMP examination certification, pass the certification and maintain the certification. Step number 1, apply to take the exam. Second is to take the exam. Third is to maintain your certification. Okay, I'll briefly talk about maintain because the first 2 steps we'll discuss in detail. Your PMP certification is valid for 3 years. After 3 years, you have to renew your certification. Every 3 years to renew. CAPM certification is valid for 5 years. You can renew, but within that 5 years, as Archana asked, you will be becoming eligible for, PMP. So you can go to PMP certification. So after 3 years or during these 3 years, you have to get 60 PDUs, professional development units, which I'll explain in our training how to get that. And we have links by which you can take, either paid courses to get the PDUs or some free, not courses, free podcast, webinars, etc., to get the required PDUs. So I never heard someone lost their PMP because they couldn't get 60 PDUs. So if you get 60 PDUs, it's basically 1 hour you will spend after your PMP certification in a proper learning will give you 1 PDU. Like listening to a project management podcast, attending a webinar like this, for example, those who are PMP certified. So this is not registered. So if it is registered webinar, we'll get 2 PDUs. We are doing for two hours, etc. So future programs we are planning to introduce, like initiation and planning as a detailed workshop or a webinar, will give you like 10 PDUs if you are doing for 10 hours. So we'll give you PDUs, and every 3 years you have to renew it. Whereas CAPM, if you want to renew, after 5 years you can renew. Still you think you haven't got the required experience, you have to take the examination again for CAPM. If not, within 5 years, you got the required 3 years, you upgrade yourself to PMP and continue with the PMP details. Let's start with the first step, apply to take the examination. As I told you, the new simplified application is like you have to provide your education details and you have to provide your experience and exam details. First, you have to say like whether you have a bachelor's or a master's or a diploma. Accordingly, they will qualify you for category A or B. Next, you have to provide the professional education you undertook, that is this training program what we are going to conduct. If you finish that training, once you get the certificate, you will fill that area for 35 hours. That's quite simple, copying the information from your degree certificate and our training completion certificate. This is the core part. Experience. Experience. Ravi, you have a question? Okay, right, I believe you don't have a question, so I muted you. So experience, 36 months of experience if you are in category A, or 60 months of experience in category B. So we have a template. We will provide the template to you and you follow the template to fill this part. This is, you can say, heart of application. Your application may rejected or accepted based on your experience details. So the template what we are having, use that template and put your experience in that particular template and you can fill the, and I will review it obviously. That's what I'm doing with my students. I'm reviewing all the experience details and I'm making sure it is according to PMI requirements. Obviously, you know your experience very well. I will help you to make sure you put that in PMI requirements so your application will not get rejected. And this is where actually, as I told you, the details of your experience, and then you will say where you want to take the exam and your address details and so on. By the way, when you are putting the application to PMI for the exam, you are not making any payment. You don't make any payment. You are not choosing a date. This is only asking to PMI whether you are eligible for the PMP certification or not. Once you get the approval, then you will be booking the examination. So that is actually the first step. We just discussed about that. Audit. If you are an audit, then what will be the fee structure. Exam online, we are going to discuss on that. What is the fee structure to associate with PMI? Fee structure to associate with PMI. I believe you're asking about a membership. If you are a student of a college or university, you will pay around 2,700 rupees for membership with PMI per year. If you are a professional, not a student, but you're a working professional, then you will pay around 10,000 rupees to associate with PMI as a member per year. Exam online, we'll come to that. Okay, so PMP audit is cancelled or suspended for time being. We don't know when they will revoke it. As of now, it is suspended. Now, once your application is approved, within 5 days of submitting your application, they will tell you, is it approved or not? Then you will make the payment. If you are in India or your primary address is in India and you are a member of PMI, you will be paying 23,500 around for the PMP exam. If you are a non-member, still you can take the exam, but you will pay 42,900 around for the examination. So that is why I told you at the beginning, it is advisable to be a member of PMI first, because 23 plus 10, you are paying 33, including membership, which is less than a non-member's examination fees. So why you want to pay 42 for exam, pay 10,000 for membership, 23 plus for exam, and it's including tax, by the way. So, you are good to go. And if you are outside India, that's your examination fees. Those who are joined from outside India, $555 for non-members US dollars and $405 for members. That's about the examination fees. Next is about scheduling the exam. Last part. Okay, you have to schedule the examination. If
Sir,
you
can I
take,
ask you one doubt?
yes, Alan, go ahead.
Sir, you had told that 23,000 for members in India plus 10,000. This 10,000 means we are paying to DH Academy, that one?
No, it is about the membership with PMI.
First of
I
all, we
told
have.
you.
Okay, okay. Tell me, sir.
Okay, so I told you at the beginning, to associate with PMI as a member, you have to pay 10,000 something, 10,200 rupees membership per year, around like 9,000 plus 775 for a application fee for the first year. I was telling about that. If you become as a member of PMI by paying 10,000 rupees, you will be paying 23,000 as a exam fees. If you don't want to be a member of PMI, you will pay 42,000 as a fees. And training fees is different, and DH will explain that at the end, towards the end. Does that
So
answer your
if
question?
I want to be a member of the PMI, I don't want to be a certified PMP, means this one?
Yeah, that is also fine. Then you will not go and apply for the exam. You will just be a member of PMI by paying 10,000 rupees. But by the way, it is not mandatory that if you associate with PMI, you should be a certified professional. No. So membership for anyone, those who want to associate with the professional body, enhance their knowledge, get a copy of the PEM pocket, etc. And if you are willing to, I mean, most of them obviously they'll go for certification as well. But if you don't want to go for certification, that's fine. You'll only pay for membership. If we take membership, all training programs are free, or we should pay for training. So, I mean, there are some webinars with PMI. PMI is having a professional development website called projectmanagement.com. They'll give you 1 hour, for example, skill development webinar. They are all free for members. But the training for the examination is not available with PMI. That you have to take through certified, professionals like certified bodies like us. So training is separate. That is not included here. So these are all you are paying to PMI, not to DH. Whatever I explained until now, none of these payments you are doing for DH. It is all going to PMI for membership and for your certification. Okay, so let's move on to the third part, scheduling the exam. Okay, we have two modes of taking the examination in India now. One, center-based examination. You have to go to any one of the, person VUE exam centers nearby your location, and you can take the exam, or you can take the exam online. Because of COVID, from, if I am right, June, they introduced May or June, they introduced the online examination. You can take the examination from your home itself. So you have two options, either center-based exam or online exam. Both are going to be both will cost you same. If you have, taking from home is better. Even though you are taking it from home, it is similar to taking it, in a center. That's why they call it as, it's an online proctored exam. It's an online proctored exam. Someone will be monitoring you, and you will be taking the examination under their monitoring, and the camera what you have in your laptop or your computer, they will be recording you through that camera and make sure like you cannot have any books or any friends with you to take the exam. We'll give you more details about the online examination during our training. So basically there will be 200 questions you have to answer. Some samples I gave you today. There will be 4 choices for a question, and you have to choose one of the right answer out of that. And allotted time is 4 hours. And I'll tell you about this 175 and 25 questions in the training. Out of 200 questions, 175 scored and 25 unscored. What is this? I'll explain to you in the training. And if it is an online exam, you are taking from home, there is a break of 10 minutes between those 4 hours. First 2 hours, you will answer 90 questions. And after answering your 90 questions, you will submit your answer and you will take a break. That is optional break, 10 minutes max. You can say yes, take a break, or no, continue the exam. Remaining 2 hours, you'll take 110 questions. And at the end, when you submit your answer, here you will submit your 90 questions answer, and at the end you'll submit 110 questions, and your scoring is based on 200 questions. If you pass the examination, you will be getting your PMP certification. So the training program what we are going to hold will help you to clear this examination, 4 hours examination of 200 questions. That's about the percentage of questions you'll be getting in the examination. 13% from initiation, 24% from planning, 31% from execution, 25 from monitoring and controlling, and 7% in closing. At the end, you will get a score report like this. There is no passing percentage mentioned in the report or published. That is PMI policy. They decided internally. I mean, there is a scoring criteria, but it is not published. So approximately based on the discussions what we are having, approximately 70%, sorry, 68 to 70% you have to score to pass the exam, but it's not the official information. Just from the social networking sites and others, what we are learning is around around. Okay, so exam will be objective. Yes. Will you conduct any mock test? Yes. I'm going to talk about our training next. So let me quickly go through that. Exam will be 200 multiple choice questions. You have to choose one answer from the given 4 answers. That's all. So at the end, you will get a score. If you are getting a target or above target score, you will pass the exam. Below target or needs improvement, you failed the examination. And now we are going to talk about the changes, upcoming changes in the PMP examination. If you look into the sixth editions of PEMPOCKET published by PMI, the changes mainly happened in the knowledge areas and processes. They added what is the passing score out of 200. As I told you, passing score is not announced by PMI. Passing score is not announced by PMI. But approximately you can say around 70% you have to score to pass the examination. The information what I'm going to tell you is at least 8 years old. As of August 2011, they changed the policy. Until August 2011, out of 175 questions, you have to answer 106 questions correctly. Because we don't know which 25 questions are pre-test questions, we will add 25 with that, 135 out of 200, which is approximately 68%. So this is a very old information. That's why I told you around 70% you have to score to pass the examination. Negative scoring? No, there is no negative scoring in the PMP exam. If you answer it correctly, you will get a score. If you answer it wrong, no score. There is no negative scoring in the PMP examination. So coming to the changes, upcoming changes. The last 6 editions of PEMPOK guide mainly focused on the processes and the knowledge areas. They added, instead of like 37 processes in the first edition, now we have 49 processes. There we had 9 knowledge areas. Now we have 10 knowledge areas. The upcoming change is major. First time in the history of PEMPOK PMI, they are changing the next version, 7th edition of PEMPOK guide, which is expected to be published in Q4 2020, but it is now changed to Q1 2021. And this is going to be principle-based project management. In the new edition, there will be no processes, process groups, knowledge areas. There will be 12 principles. And this is going to be a complete change, What they say is they are moving from process-based approach to a kind of agile and hybrid approach. During the training, I'll explain about agile and hybrid required for the examination. So that's about the major change coming up in PEMPOK guide. And these are the 12 principles. We have the draft edition. They published in February this year. We have gone through that. And the final edition will be published in Q1 2020. And during the training, we'll be discussing about those 12 principles. And this is about the change to the PMP certification examination. Currently, as I told you, you will be tested in 5 process groups. In the new edition, all these will go under that particular area, processes, which is contributing to 50%. Currently, it is 100%. In the new exam, it will be 50%. And 42% is about your leadership qualities, managing people, and 8% is about managing your project, in a business environment. So what are these 25 unmarked questions about? Okay, I skipped it. I thought I'll talk about that in the training. So you have to answer all 200 questions. For you, there is no difference. As an exam taker, all questions are, same. But when it comes to the scoring, there will be 25 random questions which will not have any score. They call it as pre-test questions. When they come up with a new question, they normally don't put it as a real question. They'll put it as a test question. They test for themselves, is it a right question to put or not, based on the answers from the participants. But you will never know 25 questions, which are they. You have to answer all. But these 25, whether you answer it correctly or wrongly, doesn't affect your score. That's why I told you the scoring is out of 175. Trainings are online. Yes. What is the fees? DH will announce it at the end. I'll just quickly finish in a few minutes. So I'll hand over to DH to announce about the upcoming training. So I told you in this current edition, very few, the last month, maybe 8-9 participants, they took the examination, online exam, and they got hardly 1 or 2 questions in Agile. But as you can see here, in the new edition of the exam, 50% of the questions will be either Agile or hybrid based approach. 50% will be the current approach. So to take the exam until 31st December, you don't need Agile experience. After 2nd January, you need Agile. You have to have Agile experience. Now, as someone asked the question, only multiple choice questions, but after 2nd January, there is a possibility of more than one right answer questions, essay type questions, which they are still evaluating, haven't finalized. Once it is finalized, they will announce us. So there are possibility of other type of questions. As of now, to pass the examination, the main reference is PEMPOK 6th edition. PEMPOK hard copy will be provided by DH. DH will answer that. So normally the soft copies, actually we have a learning management system. All the materials required to pass the examination is part of learning management system. All the training participants will get the access to learning management system. So if you go to PMI's website, and I'm not reading that, there are 10 materials mentioned as reference materials for the new examination. And how there is a way to manage. PMI have already announced it. I'll explain that during the training. As of now, the main reference is 6th edition of PEMPOK guide. I mean, current edition, if you want to prepare 1 to 3 months, depends on the time you will commit for the preparation. After January, it will be, you obviously will need more time because you have to go through more references. Is PMP equivalent to masters? That question needs an explanation, but briefly, there are 2 career paths or 2 approaches in learning. One is your academic area, another one is your professional certification area. In academic level, you'll go from bachelor's to master's to PhD, etc. In the professional career, in the professional area, certification area, you'll go for PMP. So it's about 2 different approaches. It depends on the area you are working with. Both are having its own, both are having its own values. So you cannot compare PMP to masters or masters to PMP, 2 different, branches, you can say. Is there any validity limitation for 35 hours training? No. By the way, the certificate, what you get from DH is valid for your lifetime. There is no validity, but the PMP certification, what you will get after you pass the exam from PMI, every 3 years you have to renew. DH certificate doesn't have a expiry date. What is Agile experience? As I told you, that's about it was introduced initially to manage software development projects. Now the scope has expanded to different areas. That is a detailed concept. Around 2 hours discussion we'll be having in our training program about Agile. So understand it's a different methodology. It's a different methodology. Okay, different methodology to manage a project. We will talk about that as part of our training. Certificate is only 3 years valid. After that, any exam or payment? No exam. There is no examination. You have to renew your certification by getting 60 PDUs. And around, I think, if I'm right, 5,000 rupees you have to pay. I just saw that, but I forgot the amount. Around 5,000 rupees you have to pay to renew your PMP certification for another 3 years. So every 3 years, you will get 60 PDUs and pay 5,000 rupees, around 5,000, and you will renew your certification for another 3 years. So now, as I told you, training institutes can provide 35 hours of, training. Now, after January, only ATPs. Already, I got the authorized training provided instructor badge, so I will be eligible to provide the training after January as well. But there will be limited options for you after January to take the exam. And anybody going for the exam, you have to pay 39 USDs to PMI for the access to material with PMI. I'll explain that slide. Certificate. Okay, if not renew the membership in PMI, no problem. So first year you got your PMP, you got your membership. Second year you are a PMP, but you don't want to renew membership. That's fine, up to you. As I told you, if you find value being a member of PMI, you find value, you renew it. If you think there is no value, no need to renew it. That's fine. There is no problem with your certification. So basically, that's a conclusion slide for me. So the new exam will be introduced from 2nd January. The last day to take the examination is 31st of December. Little more than 100 days, 101 days left. So 1 more day, 3 months and 9 days left. So training will be 1 month. Preparation will be at least 1.5 months. So by the beginning of, so if you take a decision now, the right time to go for the exam will be beginning of December. So 1 month training, 1 month preparation, and then the examination. So, but if you make it late, obviously it will be happening in January. Value for exam before and after. So there is no difference in the value. I took my PMB certification in 2005 based on second edition. Till now, I haven't gone for the examination again. But those who took the PMB certification recently, me and him will be having the same kind of knowledge, because that 60 PDUs helps you to renew your knowledge. You have to keep in touch with the subject, and only you can renew your PMP. So the value is same, whether you go now or nobody is going to ask you in which edition you got your PMP, or your certificate is not going to tell you in which edition you got. It will tell you are a PMP. So you obviously have to upgrade yourself when there is a new PMP that will give you PDUs. We will conduct some seminar programs like this to tell you about the changes, right? So that's about the value. So Sanoj, so briefly about CAPM. Before going to Sanoj, briefly about CAPM. Those who are having less than 3 years of experience, you can go for CAPM. Your exam fees will be 17,000 for non-member, 23,000 for a member. And if you're a student, you will pay only 2,000 something as a membership, student membership, and you just need your college certificate or your ID to member. So if you're a student new to project management, you are in another field, you are changing to project management or subject matter experts, you can go for CAPM. This is just few online trainings we have done through COVID. I mean, during COVID as part of, online PMP training. So I have done like 4 or 5. I'm just showing few. This training is finishing today. In another 1 hour, I have to start my class. This is the last class. Actually, I took a picture. Today is the last day for this training. Next training will be with the DH. We are starting on 28th. So that's what I told you. So I'm a PMI certified instructor. You can check in UClaim. You go to UClaim and search for Angel Bright. That's my name. It will tell you my qualifications. And basically, it will be a 40 hours live virtual online training. As someone earlier asked, you will be getting an access to learning management system. Yes, as you asked earlier, there will be 3 to 5 mock exams and flashcards. The material what we are giving basically is enough to pass the PMP examination. You'll get a course completion certificate. I already told you, assistance in PMP application filling, and this will be our commitment, one-to-one support until you pass the exam. So most of the students, they're coming back during the weekends. We are having an hour session to discuss how is their preparation and what support they need, etc. And Sanuj, can you take over from there?
Right. Thanks, Angel. Hello, everyone. So thank you for Angel for the nice introduction and detailed explanation about the PMP practice areas and the training program. So DH actually, in collaboration with Angel Bright B-Site Consulting Company, we are offering a special introduction offer for all of us in India, rupees 12,000 rupees for the training program. So this includes a 40 hours of training program, which is a 5 days in a week, Monday to Friday. So those who are going working professionals can come back home by around 7 p.m. The course starts and it goes to 9 p.m. So this is very convenient, and comparing to all other providers, we are very attractive prices we are offering everybody. And those who want to a group booking, we can write to us admin at DH Academy. We can offer further packages for you. And any questions on this program date, you can write to us.
Yeah, I will just answer one question before the close. We have a feedback. Please stay back. We have a feedback you have to answer. It's good to get your feedback as well to see like how you are to improve in the future. How you fail, how many chances you can take the examination. So, in case you fail in the first attempt, you can try 2 more times. So totally 3 times you can try within 1 year, because, if when PMI is giving an approval to you that you can take the examination, say you got the approval on 15th of October, until next 15th of October, that eligibility will be there. I'm not saying DH certificate will valid for only 1 year. I'm saying the approval you get from PMI to take the exam is valid for 1 year. Right? So within that, you can try 3 times, but obviously there's a fees. Second time when you're attending, it will cost you around 15 to 16,000 rupees. Third time, if you're not successful, then from the third attempt, you have to wait for 1 year before you go for the reattempt. So 3 you can attend, and I never had a case like where they have how frequently the conduct is. Okay, sorry, I forgot it. If it is like online exam, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 24 hours, 7 days a week, according to your convenience, you can, take the, just a minute. I have launched a feedback poll while you are asking your questions. Please give your feedback as well. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it is available. If you are going for the test center-based exam, check with your center, near center. Maybe most of the center, they don't give the exam in the weekend. It will be only like 6 days a week and according to their working time, right? So check with your center. But for I'm doing masters now, should I take the certification now or should I wait for my course completion? Archana, can you type which year of masters, first year or second year of masters? If it is second year, it's better you go for CAPM. So when you're out from your college, in addition to your master's degree, if you're having an additional qualification, it will be really good for you to start your career in project management. So that will be better. So as I told you, 3 times in a year you can take. Frequency. There is actually I mean, no problem with the frequency. In case you fail an attempt, immediately you can take the next attempt. There is no waiting time or a grace period. If you fail today, if you're ready next week, you can go and take the exam. Okay. If in case your second attempt is going in January, you will take the exam in the new format. That's why I told you, you should keep your first attempt in first week of January. In case you fail, you'll have 3 more weeks to take the examination and pass the examination. Yes, second attempt, if it is going to be, after January, you will be taking the examination, in the new edition. Thank you very much for attending. Sanoj, over to you.
Yeah, so one other request to all of you that we have a group formed just for this webinar, and please continue to stay on the group. If you have any questions further to this, please write to us in the group, and we'll also sharing you all the informative documents regarding your training and all the course material. The Pimbox thing we can procure, or those who are interested to have a hard book, we can procure and with extra cost of it. Otherwise, we will be having a soft copy for everybody. And please encourage. I'm encourage everybody to be part of the group and prepare for the training and prepare for the exam. All the best. All the very best to all of you.
Thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed this webinar. And I look forward to see you all in our training program. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome. See you in the training. Thank you.
Sanoj, doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
12,000 rupees for DH in there.
Right.
അതിനകത്ത് നമ്മൾക്കിപ്പം ഈ എക്സാമിന്റെ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഫുള്ള് നിങ്ങളാണോ ഇത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഷെഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, അത് നമ്മളാണോ ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ആയിട്ടാണോ?
എക്സാം ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ആണ്. നമ്മൾ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യും. പക്ഷേ യു ഹാവ് ടു ഷെഡ്യൂൾ യുവർ എക്സാമിനേഷൻ നിയറസ്റ്റ് ലൊക്കേഷനിലാണോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വീട്ടിലാണോ, ബട്ട് വി വിൽ പ്രൊവൈഡ് യു ഓൾ ദ സപ്പോർട്ട് ടു ഡു ദ എക്സാം ഷെഡ്യൂളിംഗ്.
ഓക്കെ താങ്ക്സ്. സർ, ഈ ബുക്ക് ഓൺലൈൻ സ്റ്റോഴ്സ് കിട്ടുമോ? മീൻസ് ആമസോൺ അങ്ങനെ?
Yes, Amazon but വാങ്ങിക്കുമ്പോൾ careful ആയിട്ട് വാങ്ങിക്കണം. Even 5th edition is also available in the Amazon. You have to buy 6th edition. Make sure you are buying 6th edition. You can buy the Kindle copy or you can buy the hard copy. Amazon lo undu actually.
ഇതിപ്പോ നമുക്ക് DH ന്ന് പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ അങ്ങനെ ഡയറക്റ്റ്?
We can arrange procurement. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you all.
Okay, thank you all. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.
See you. Bye.